we welcome our fantastic instructor, emeritus instructor, Susan Ryza, who is a professional jewelry designer, a person with an incredible creative mind for materials and building of incredible sculptural processes, and also in just as an educator, has been a dedicated educator at Emeritus for some time, has quite a following of people who love her around here. So we're so excited to, just support this human being, and also see this fantastic jewelry. And then, of course, there's an added bonus tonight, which is that, well, there's some kind of special models involved in this exhibition. And I think there might be a Vogue, Vogue or Vanity Fair. They might be scouting this event. We'll see. There's some very incredible modeling going on that you're going to see. Not very professional photography. That was done by yours truly. I did my best. But the models and the jewelry spoke for themselves. Fantastic stuff that we're going to get to see tonight. Now, before we go to all this incredible jewelry, and we're going to be able to actually look at Susan's website and see her professional practices, and she's going to give us some insight into how she makes things, etc. I first just thought we should, many of us know her, but just for the purposes of getting some context, I'd like to hear a little bit about your sort of bio and how you became a jewelry designer. Some context for you as a aesthetic producer in the world, Susan, if you don't mind.
Well, when I started out by going to art school, I studied textile design as well as art education. After I graduated from college, I joined the Peace Corps, and I worked with weavers in El Salvador for a couple of years. I came back with the desire to help them sell their products here. So I started an import business, which eventually turned into a ladies' hat manufacturing company, which I designed hats. Here's an example of some of the hats. Just a quick look. And then I had 2 children, and I started feeling guilty about not being home with them every day. And so I sold the business, and I was a stay-at-home mom for a couple of years. And then I saw an opportunity to start teaching crafts at the Waldorf School in Santa Monica. And I thought, oh, I could do that, even though I had never done it before. And somehow I got hired, and I taught there. Then I taught children in other places. Then I got a job I was actually teaching knitting and crocheting and weaving. I wasn't doing anything to do with jewelry. But then I got a job working at Michael's teaching knitting and crocheting. And from there was somebody from Emeritus who recruited me. They told, I forget the name of the founder. I have a bad memory. Anyway, she hired me to teach knitting and crocheting and fiber arts, which I still teach. And I was doing that for a while. And then somehow, my daughter, who was in 2nd grade at the time, was taking a jewelry class. And I've always loved jewelry. So she would come home and start telling me how to make things. And I got into making jewelry. And then I petitioned to have another class at Emeritus teaching jewelry making, which I got. And that class was so popular that it divided into 2 classes. And I now teach a beginner class and an advanced class. And I see a lot of my students here. I just want to say hi. It's really heartwarming to see all these familiar faces, or at least screen names. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And of course, thanks to everybody else who's here. So once I got that class, I started teaching the few things that I knew about jewelry making, and I had loyal students who were like, okay, well, what else can we learn? What else can we learn? So I started feeling this pressure. Oh, I have to learn new things so I can teach new things. And gradually I just expanded into more and more different techniques. That was like 2007, I think. So that's how long I've been teaching jewelry making. And along the way, I got the idea I should sell my jewelry, I should have a website. So I developed my website and I sell on my website. I have an Etsy shop. And I also well, before the pandemic, I was doing fairs and shows. And I think I'm going to start again soon. So that brings me to today. And here I am. And I thank Jesse very much. I reached out to him quite a few months ago and I said, would you ever consider having a jewelry show of mine? And he immediately wrote back and said, yes, I already scheduled it for November. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. So, and then
We
Jesse
had
had the amazing idea to invite emeritus students to be models. And okay, that brings us up to this exact minute. Thank you, Jesse.
Well, thank you. I mean, listen, I really was considering you before any communication we had because I was aware. I've
Oh,
heard from students. I'm a big fan of jewelry. I find it to be very fascinating and very sculptural. I worked for jewelers when I lived in London, and I
mm,
find it very exciting. There's a great history of artists wearing jewelry as sculpture, and of course how it crosses over into fashion and the engineering processes and the historical and cultural references embedded in it that you've alluded to some degree already. And it looks like we have a hand up. And I was going to say, Susan sort of suggested that maybe we could have some question and answer today, but we'll mostly limit it till the end. But since the hand went up right now, Linda, did you have something you wanted to communicate?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that Susan doesn't just teach jewelry. She teaches other classes at Emeritus. So I just wanted to make sure that gets said. That's all.
thank
Yes,
you.
and we're talking about a very skillful person. Thank you. This is, I loved a few things that Susan said. First of all, as educators, we are I think a good educator should be learning in every class. And I love that you sort of learned in the process and got inspired by being an educator to learn more, that you took that into being a professional and you also inspired by several of the processes like, and I don't know all the things that you do teach at Emeritus. Maybe you should tell us since Linda brought that up too, but obviously you're inspired by textile and weaving processes. And are those things that you also instruct at Emeritus?
Yes, well, I teach another class called needlecraft, and it's changed very much since the pandemic, since I'm teaching online. It's actually expanded a lot. When we were in person, it was all knitting and crocheting. But now that I'm actually teaching, because we're online and I'm not hands-on, so I've included every imaginable type of needle craft or fiber craft. So in that class, besides crochet, knit, macrame, weaving, embroidery, needlepoint. It's there's amazing techniques from all over the world. Like every day I discover something new. So I guess these classes keep my mind functioning because I'm constant the students are so demanding, like, what can we do that's new? What can we do that's different? So I constantly just have to keep coming up with new ideas and new processes. And in the jewelry class, for example, I have students that have been in my class for 10 years and they want to constantly learn new things. So I spend a lot of time developing new projects. And also, I'll just say when I teach anything, besides actually teaching in person, I always do instructional handouts. So that also takes up quite a bit of time, especially now. Now that I'm a little bit better with technology, I do photographs, and that's just an example, but my handouts are quite detailed. So it takes me like at least a week to develop a new project. First I try it out, then I figure out how to do it, and then I write the instructions, and then I make another one using my instructions to make sure that they're understandable. And
And
people
it
have
seems to
told me
me,
that they find them helpful. Sorry.
that it seems to me like you really make jewelry accessible, and that you're bringing lots of different languages together, making it possible for this to be an educational process for people, but also for yourself while you're learning and making things on your own.
Mm.
I think that's really exciting. Now, it's also the case that you work in materials. Well, first of all the cultural references, I was going to say before, when you were talking about weaving, you've done chainmail like processes. You've
Yes.
used experiment. Yeah, I mean, I'm really seeing how this crosses over with different textile inspirations and everything, and we'll see that in a moment here. But then you've also made your work as a jeweler accessible in the sort of cost range too. I mean, it's not like you work in materials that are so grand that people can't afford them. It seems like it's of the people, which I respect as well.
That's true.
I mean, even though it's certainly glamorous as well, but it's obviously accessible jewelry.
Mhm.
Is that something you intentionally
Yeah,
located?
I'm very, just in general as a person, I'm kind of very value oriented. Like, I look at ways to do things that are interesting but not expensive. So
Yeah.
I do that with my jewelry. Like, I'll use plated metal rather than precious metal. I do constantly kind of flirt with the idea of getting more into precious metals and other things, but I've learned that sometimes little touches of really fine materials can make a huge difference. For
Yeah.
example, when I do my knotting, I always use silk cord because people
Yeah.
find a lot of value in that and it doesn't add a lot of cost. Or maybe, well, for example, with my earrings, I always use um, either sterling silver or 14 karat gold filled. So that makes it, gives it a little bit more value, but without adding a lot of cost. So I look for things like that. But
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
I admire that.
Thank you. Um, I wanted to just also comment on something you said before, which is that you asked about the materials. I divide the work that I do and the things that I teach into, I would say, categories. Um, at the very beginning, years ago, I did basic bead stringing, which is like the simplest type of jewelry making. But over time, I've expanded into, like you said, chainmail, which is, I can show you an example of what that is. This is chainmail. It's small rings put together to create a weave. And it's very detailed. Just one example. I do macrame jewelry. I love using fiber techniques for jewelry. This is only half finished, but this is a macrame necklace. Using cord, obviously. We do something, there's a Japanese braiding technique called kumihimo. That there's a special disc. Where is it? It goes with this special disc, and you can make interesting cords with different patterns and things. In the last few years, I've gotten into metalwork, which is really exciting to me. So here's an example of this is made with sheet metal. I cut out each piece and I hammer it and I shape it. And there's so many different things that you can do with this.
Wow.
What I don't do is, I always say I don't do things that involve heat or chemicals. I like sort of physical things that don't require a lot of chemistry, I guess you could say.
So you don't use sort of soldering processes, or
I
you
don't do
don't use.
soldering.
Got you. And I mean, this is interesting because this is all part of because you have a range of aesthetics, a range of aesthetic approaches, but it all feels like you and your voice. And in a couple ways that's in the sort of looks, but they do range. And then now you're telling us a couple ways that the processes sort of or have some consistencies or things that you do or don't do. I think that's really interesting. And it also sounds like it's almost like a healthy, ethical approach to
That's
being.
also true. Yeah,
I like it.
I don't like to breathe fumes. Um,
I don't blame you. Let's go ahead and go now. Like that was a perfect, thank you so much. That was a really fantastic introduction to your history. Now let's go ahead and go. Now we saw at least one necklace that we're going to observe closely in these photographs of our show. Just to give us a little context of where we are right now, hopefully everybody's looking at the shared screen I've just popped up here. We're at our website, smc.edu/emeritus gallery. And that's where everybody presumably arrived tonight to click on the link right here, Susan Ryza virtual launch event. That's where we are tonight. But now we can also, this is what we're going to do. We're going to click on this link here, Susan Ryza, to see the actual online exhibition. Here's a teaser shot to open up the event. I think, I wonder if Catherine Campbell is here tonight, if all of our models are here. But this is like, I don't know. I mean, these shots are so glamorous. I'm just totally amazed by the models and the jewelry. That just just lit up our show for us. Let's just go to the exhibition right now. This is how you do it. You click here. It's on Facebook, but you don't have to have Facebook to view it or anything like that. Here's the quick overview, and then of course we're going to go one by one here. But thank you, first of all, to our fantastic models, and thank you to Susan. We had such a great day, such a fun. I thought it was a really fun couple of hours. It was
it
of
was
course
fun.
it was like a model. It was kind of like being at a real model shoot where there was like a frenzy of activity,
Yeah,
and the models were looking through the jewelry. People were looking through the gallery windows and look at the excitement. The energy was really positive. And we just we got some great shots. The jewelry shot itself really well. The models did such a beautiful job. And so let's start here. This is our first model, Stephanie Donan, who is, of course, one of our fantastic emeritus faculty. We had the rest are students, and we have one faculty member here who donated her time. And so I just think the way now, how did you decide, Susan, how to, because it was a sort of like a lineup of people and you put collections together for people to wear. How did you decide how to befit people and all that?
well, originally I wanted to have groups of this from the same collection together, which you can see I started out doing the things that we're looking at here. The bracelet she's wearing is the one that I was just showing, holding up. So then there's a coordinating necklace and earrings. As the shoot went on, it got a lot more crazy and hectic, and some people were grabbing things and saying, I want to wear this. So there are some things here that I probably would never have chosen to show because it got a little overwhelming, but it was really fun. And it was so wonderful to see these models being so enthusiastic, and loving my jewelry. That made me feel fantastic.
It was truly the case that they were loving the jewelry, and I think it made them all feel like models presenting jewelry, and maybe
Yeah,
they all professional models themselves already. I don't know, but everyone seemed to come to life trying on this stuff, and you're right. Like this is placed in order of the event, so the collections, I suppose, at first you sort of catered more specifically, and then you
yeah.
allowed for more a range of mixed options. And so,
Eventually it became kind of a free for all, but it was fun.
and who doesn't enjoy a free
A
for
free
all?
for all.
Yeah, like, it was both chaotic and fun. But at first, yes, you had it more organized. And just so we know, everybody, we have this fantastic situation right here in our show where we have these images of the models, and next to that is the information about each work, including the price and the material information and the overall collection. So this is the Greenwich Village wire and metal collection.
I would like
Uh,
to say something about that if I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Please.
Well, the reason I don't know how many people know what Greenwich Village is actually, but it's a kind of a hippie, formerly beatnik area of New York City. And I grew up in a suburb of New York, and Greenwich Village was just this really cool place, especially in the 60s. Um, I remember going there with my friends, and we would walk around to these little shops where there were these like cool hippie types that, that were foreign to me at the time. And they would be making these things like hammer jewelry and wire jewelry. And it just, I don't know, it still feels so cool and romantic and exciting to me. So that's well, I don't remember Conrad's shop. Somebody's asking me what I don't remember the names of the shops, but 8th Street for sure. Lots of the shops are on 8th Street in the village. Anyway, that's why this is called Greenwich Village Wire and Metal Collection.
And we're feeling it. I think for sure. I definitely was feeling that energy from what I know about the histories of Greenwich Village, and I think there are plenty in the room who would know that reference too. And yes, you're right. That stylizing is right there. It really feels right for it, and it's fun, and it's with a little bit of nostalgia, but also very contemporary, and all of that together is working out well for you. And also, there's just almost some like there's even some older references, like there's some Art Deco, almost flapper quality to these
Mm,
earrings that are
wow,
elegant and exciting,
that's
playful,
interesting.
and
Hmm.
yeah, but in a different, obviously this feels different in this more beatnik sort of way that you described, and
Mhm.
I think that they're really fabulous. Now let's go ahead and show everybody the sort of way that our website's working right now, so that it's really cool. Though you can go to our page if you want. You can also go directly to, of course, to Susan's website at any time, which is a fantastic resource for understanding more about Susan and for actually purchasing items as we, if one wants for themselves or for gifts coming up or something. But this is a way to channel it if you want. You can come to our website and you can click here on these sides and they will link directly to the website of that bit of information. So if you're interested in the necklace, it goes right to the necklace page link right here. And then here you can get this sort of close-ups. You can get the information about how much it is to purchase. You can look at other images that are already present on the website to get different lighting and to get a different feel for it in conjunction with our presentation on our platform here.
And I'm
So you
definitely
can
going
do that.
to add these photos to my website as soon as I have a chance. I'm really excited about that.
And I think that they look great. And I think that the whole combination of seeing this and also seeing what you already have on the website really does a lot to help us understand everything. So I'll click on things here and there. And look, you have this as a different plated version in this case, brass.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that comes in brass, copper, and silver. The one that I showed is silver. I mean, in person.
Exciting to know that you are opting for different options on that too. Really cool stuff. And so, like, we can see the ring more closely. All of this stuff is now an option to just sort of go through our site and link to if you like, and or just to learn more about it. The information's here on the side. Now, of course, not every shot of the model pictures every item, but these first ones do. Forgive the poor photographer who failed to note an inventory tag right there. Forgive me. There's a few moments like that where again, the Vogue photographer we had scheduled, I guess was stuck in Paris that day, didn't arrive on time. I took over with my cell phone, but we did our best. But yeah, I just think that you can tell that people are enjoying wearing these bits of jewelry. They feel glamorous, but also again, sort of the people, and wearable all day, wearable at night in a fancy dress. It seems like it could be across the board in that regard. Really cool stuff.
Thank you for the compliment.
I love Stephanie. She's a great model here too. Yeah, I think they're cool. And again, they're sculptural. Yeah, this is what I thought like had some sort of qualities of being a little Art Deco-y.
Mm.
Of course, it has lots of different historical references there. And yeah, let's just look at the last link here on these. There are those earrings.
Yeah, so those
So
metal pieces are, I start with a large sheet of metal and I cut out the different shapes. Then I hammer them and I texture them and shape them. If you can see, they're kind of curved. And then I punch
yes.
the holes and I connect them, as you see.
The curvature, to get that to work properly, of course, has some engineering involved with it. And then how do you puncture this? Is that with a sort of hammer in that
No,
sort of
there's
thing?
actually a special kind of hole punch for metal. And there's I'll show you the tool that curves it. I don't know if you can see, but
Fascinating. I have no such limited expertise in any of this, so I find it extremely fascinating.
So
That
this is a
what is
block
that?
that has different concavities. And you put the metal, you put the metal in it. Well, I mean, not after it's connected, but a separate little piece. And then this is a punch. You hold it like this and you hammer it to shape the metal. And then there are different types of hammers that texture it, but you texture it before you shape it. I just
Oh,
want
is
to
that
put
right?
one other thing. I
Sure.
make also like my own clasps out of wire.
Is that right? So the clasp isn't a pre-made, I'm sorry, what do you call it? A fixture. What do you call in jewelry? What's the term?
Finding,
Thank
a
you.
finding.
It's not a
I
pre-binding.
mean, it can be sometimes, like on this necklace, this has a pre-made clasp on it. I don't know if you can see that.
But
It
you make a
depends.
decision according to each object.
Yeah, and how I feel. I make my own earring wires, for example. Here's one. But
Hmm.
sometimes I use ones that I buy. Sometimes I make them. Depends
That has
on
a very elegant shape to it. How do you get that to happen in such a precise way?
this. Oh, I mean, do you want me to
That,
go into details? There are
well, I mean, maybe you don't have to give away any trade secrets, but I
no,
can
it's not
imagine
a secret.
that's probably tough
I
to
teach
achieve.
these things to hundreds of people. But let me show you. Oops. There's a tool. These are called baling pliers. And when you want to make the shape of the earring wire, for example, or the clasp, you wrap the wire around the pliers to get this kind of shape.
And it probably requires like the right touch though, to get the right amount of pressure at the right time to not get it to bend or to do something awkward in its appearance, because it has that really beautiful, elegant curvature then that comes into a straight line. It's, I know that
Thank
stuff's
you.
kind of tough to achieve. So,
Well, you should join
so
my
great stuff.
class and then you'll be able to do it too.
Good idea. I would take 100 Emeritus classes actually, to be honest.
I know.
Jewelry would be pretty fun. And you're welcome to stop by Sculpture at any time to teach my students some of your processes to inspire them for sculpture. That'd be great as well.
Thank you.
Here we are moving on to the next model here, Catherine Campbell, who again, I think this shoot looks like it's from, I just think they're spectacular photographs. And here she is modeling.
Yeah, she was a wonderful model.
Yes,
With that
totally
shirt
fantastic.
was perfect for this particular jewelry.
I totally agree. And the whole look worked really well here. this is probably, now you've talked a couple times about being inspired by different, obviously last time you talked about the context of the Greenwich Village collection. Tell us about the boho beads and
Well,
what
to
they're
be
inspired.
honest, this is more just inspired by the fact that I love colors and I love lots of colors together, rainbow-ish. It's not exactly rainbow colors. I thought, to me, these colors put together, like, they look a little bit sort of like a rainbow, but they're a little bit off of what a rainbow would be, and that makes them more exciting to me.
Mhm.
So I just got inspired by these particular little beads, as this particular set of colors, and I just sort of ran with it, and I thought of every possible thing that I could do with these colors. You can see well, I don't want to keep interrupting, but I'll just say the bracelet I'm wearing is another very related piece.
Let's have a look.
Um,
Oh, great.
okay, let me just show you something. So I originally, when I started working with these colors, I was doing weaving on a bead loom, and
Wow.
I got interested in seeing different geometric shapes that I could use these same colors with, and these are all oh, I was looking for this in my class today. Anyway, I'll show it to you later.
You say
But
you were doing weaving on a
yeah,
loom for the purposes of textile, like something else, not for the purposes of jewelry. You were doing that. Is that
yeah.
right?
So a bead loom is it's a small loom, but it's specifically designed for weaving with beads, which is what
Ah,
these are. So
is that
well,
generally a
okay,
jewelry
you
process,
know,
or something more like
it's
belts
a
or
jewelry
so, what
process. Do you
is
want
a
to see what
jewelry
the loom
process?
looks like?
Sure.
Um,
I'm sure you're as fascinated with this as I am. Learning these processes
this is
is
what the
quite
loom
interesting.
looks like. Um, it's inside this box. Here's, oops, uh-oh. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're
Oh,
back there.
okay, phew. Anyway, this is what it looks like when you're working on the loom.
I
And
see.
this is like a traditional Native American technique. And actually,
Right.
you wanted shout outs to different cultures. So I'll say I learned this when I was at the Heard Museum in Phoenix, I guess. Um, they had this children's area with very large wooden beads doing, so you could learn this technique, and it just clicked. And I thought, oh, that's how they do it. I mean, this was like 15 years ago. So I love weaving as a former textile designer. So and weaver. So I just enjoy doing this. Anyway, so then um I got the idea of doing the same designs but in black and white. So you can
We're going
see
to see those graphs too.
here's this the same design, but this one's black and white. This one's using those bright colors I was talking about. And here's a finer version of the same design. This is what, for those of you who were in class today, this is what it looks like, the same pattern in the smaller seed beads versus the larger seed beads. Anyway, so then I just have made a lot of different things using those color combinations. And you can see some of them in that picture. The other thing I designed is this confetti version of the same thing, which is just mixed colors. And there's a whole, you'll see if you ever go to my website, I have lots of different pieces in the groups that go with these things. The black and white ones are not on the website yet. Anyway, sorry to
Well,
keep,
they're in the show, so we will
they're in
see
the
them.
show, yes. But there are
But
no
this is
links. Sorry.
Not yet on
to go.
those, right. These do have links, and here's one for example.
Mm.
The strand necklace here. And it's interesting because I'm noting that, like, yeah, when I mentioned sort of cultural references, there are a few that you sort of intentionally sort of reference in the titles of the things, or in the styling. That seems to be part of a language that you respect of different cultures that you're bouncing off of. And in other cases, things are sort of collaged together, and they're a postmodern sort of collapsing of ideas. But I'm noticing that, like, there's a consistent sense of, there's structure to things, there's pattern, there's logics, but also you are noting that these are handmade, that these are unique, that they aren't the precision geometries of certain types of things. They allude to that, but there's still there's no anxiety of tightness, overworked in it. There's the right
Thank
precision
you.
that seems to be consistent with years. Again, that has this sort of way of feeling like approachable, and sort of honest and ethical, and all the different things that you kind of want it to be. And I think that's really coming across. A lot of joy in it as well. Look at this great shot, Catherine,
Yeah, she
enjoying
was
this.
a really great model.
But yes, but the this color popping, if we can imagine the model without it for a moment, so much joy is brought to the
Mm.
equation here through the story. I think, of course, the model is doing so much on her own as well, but just the color pops and the fun, of the playfulness of those designs are really great here.
Yeah, what a difference between that outfit and just black versus that outfit with all those colors.
I think so. I mean, I think this is really the kind of thing that accessorizes and changes a whole mood instantly when one puts something like this on. I think it's fantastic. And again, just elegant modeling, fantastic jewelry, beautiful shot here.
Thanks to you for taking these beautiful
Um,
shots.
I didn't have to do anything. It was like I just like clicked, and everything was just magic. But yeah, I'm glad it worked out so well. Um, I don't know if you're gonna be able to afford these models anymore after this. They might go pro.
I know.
This is model Jude, who is now wearing again something from the Greenwich Village Wire and Metal collection. This one's the Baroque hammered metal cutout necklace, and the wire triangles with hammered metal ovals earrings. And then the bracelet, which is the hammered metal medallions bracelet with Mobius chain mail connectors. There's great language in some of this descriptive stuff that gives some of the information about some of the histories and processes that I think are great. The Mobius strip stuff is really cool. And then look, I mean, these shots are exciting again. They're alive. The jewelry falls on the person very elegantly. That's another important thing that people may not understand with the physics of jewelry, that it's not just something that has to sit on a pedestal, right? It has to forever be somewhat with the being of a person. It has to shift around with their movements. And I think that your jewelry falls in really graceful ways,
Thank
from
you.
what I can tell.
Well, that's a great shot. Wow.
It's totally a beautiful bit of composition that you get in the combination with the earrings and necklace, which I don't know how often, when you make a collection, Susan, do you imagine the actual connection between pieces like that? Or is it more that you imagine that most people would have them individually, and you rarely get to see them in combination like this?
Uh, I don't have an answer for that. I just think, like, make things that I like. And I haven't thought about whether people would wear them together, but I know I would wear them together.
Hmm.
And I love the way the mixed colors, the mixed metals look.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it makes total sense that, you know, people would wear these collections together.
I'm finding that the metals that you're using, especially in these Greenwich Village collections, are this sort of semi-matte sheen, almost like a satin sheen to them,
Mhm.
not like the polished version of the
Yeah,
said metals.
right.
And so, why do you? And I quite enjoy that, and I think it does a couple of things. What was your goal with that?
I
With
guess
that
in
kind of.
general, I just don't like slick things. I'm not into bling, obviously. I like things that are more natural, more down to earth. And you know, these metals actually start out shiny, but then when you hammer them, um, they take on a whole different feel and color. And I much prefer it like this, like muted, um, and kind of, you know, homey, not homey, I don't know, Greenwich Villagey looking. I don't know what that would be like.
The
Earthy.
distressed, a little distressed, a little earthy, a little ripped jeans, like where it look,
Yeah,
all of that,
exactly.
all of that sort of gets involved there. And I'm with you. I like what you said because, yeah, that's what I was sort of trying to get at, that you don't go for the bling aspect of jewelry.
No,
Very much true, you know. And I
I
didn't.
mean,
I wanted to say that was making sure to know that these things are very glamorous still,
oh,
but it's
thank you.
just not trying to be uh, uh, snooty or class pejorative, you know, or anything like that. It just seems to be fashionable,
Yeah.
but also accessible. So in all these ways, and yeah, you're right. The not shiny, I think, is contributing to that here for these.
You know, I never thought about this before hearing how you're describing this, but it's very much in keeping with who I am as a person. You know, I'm very into natural things and, you know, not
It's coming through the
fancy.
work. Yeah,
But of course, you could easily see the Kardashians wearing this, right?
that's the thing, is that it works in both directions. But that's what's so exciting about it, because it makes it accessible for a person who does want to glamour up. You know, we love that. And
Yeah.
everybody has the right to want to do that. And then also, but it's not like this thing that is just for status symbol, or just for being you know, a show off of some sort, or being inaccessible for most people, whatever some versions of jewelry can be. And so this is not that, and but it's still like all the care of an artistry, all the poetry and the design and
Wow.
thoughtfulness, and all of it, you know, so
You're,
all of
I
the.
love all the things that you're saying. You're actually like reforming my own thinking about my jewelry in a way that I really appreciate. I never thought of it as glamorous, but looking at these photos, I'm seeing that it could be. So thank you. I appreciate all the
So
descriptive words that you're using.
well, I think the jewelry speaks for itself, and you probably don't have to explain it. But since we're here to discuss it, this is that's some of the stuff that I have noted about it. And I was in watching the models really um, go through it all with such excitement. It was clear to me that we weren't no one was faking it,
Yeah.
as
Oh,
far
yeah.
as, you
That would have
know.
been really depressing if they came and they were like, we don't like this jewelry. We don't want to wear it.
And
That,
I think they
that would
may have
have
been
been a
able to.
real bummer.
I'm telling you, I know. People got in rounds and rounds to wear different sets of jewelries in some cases.
Yeah.
Uh, and look at this. Look at Sandra Mano, who I love completely. One of the sweetest human beings on the planet. Came in here with all types of you know, basically wearing a white t-shirt, but a nice white t-shirt, but got this glamorous, like, royalty out of this shot to me, which she is always extremely fashionable, and it's coming through her too. It's just like, but the jewelry just hit a home run here to me. Again, you stylized her very well, appropriately. Like maybe that's something you didn't know you were as good at as you are, possibly, but you seem to have styled these models
you.
quite well. I mean, look at this. This is two different necklaces. Is that correct?
Yes, it's layering. Just to
The,
say, to
drop-
prove that you were right, that they were excited about it, they actually, a bunch of people actually bought pieces of jewelry at the photo shoot.
in
So,
addition to the fact that you generously already were giving them each, they didn't know this, but they arrived to the surprise that Susan had planned to give them each a necklace, and they grabbed that, of course, excitedly, and then some, yes, opted to purchase the one, they couldn't live without the thing they had put on, and some of them looked like they were just like born to wear the thing. So I'm not surprised. Um, yeah, look at some of the beautiful, there's real nuance to like the individual colors in this. That's very subtle, which I find to be hypnotic,
I
it's
love
very
those
beautiful.
pearls.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
To me,
And
those
there's
irregular pearls are so much more interesting than the perfect round pearls that are, that are normally the most sought after.
I think that your embracing of the idiosyncrasies of things is a huge part of what's making things interesting and exciting and unique. Each piece seems unique as a result of that too, which I think is cool. Awesome. Yeah, when I worked for jewelers in London, like I said, I worked for them briefly, and one of the guys was the stone setter, and he was just fascinated with gems and stones, and I'm with you that like the idiosyncrasies, the individualities of these pearls are just like alive and exciting and far more fascinating than what would probably be a precision replication of the same pearl might be the goal for some, and that's okay. But I find this to be very, very exciting to look at by comparison.
What did you do when you worked for a jeweler?
Well, I worked in a shop where there was a designer. He was a sort of punk designer, and they had a workshop downstairs. And I did some wax carving I'm relatively skilled with my hands. I did some wax carving. Then I also worked a little in their shop upstairs where they sold jewelry. And I was telling some of our models that I was uncomfortably given the task at times to put to help a person clasp on a necklace, and I would always panic, and like that was very nerve-wracking to me. Models were helping each other put on jewelry at our event this week.
Yeah,
Um,
that was helpful.
in any event, like I think that like the artistry here of how this is falling, the the um, the real engineering that's involved in that is probably underestimated by those who haven't tried to make jewelry before. But the way things fall, the difference between this length and this length to create that separation and the negative space therein, and the relationship to a standard collar, the way that an earring is supposed to dangle without being too heavy, all of that takes in the movement that's embedded in these. They have a certain amount of swivel, and all of that is real engineering that is pretty complex. And I'm sure Susan, it's sort of second nature to you, but takes a lot of thought. And then look at the artistry in wrapping this wire.
Yeah, that's
The
all
care-
hand wrapped.
That's gorgeous.
The way that I make that earring is that each little wire piece is a separate shape. I start with just plain straight wire, and I make those different shapes and connect them together and wrap them with a thinner wire.
Are the pearls then pierced? Do you
No,
pierce the
they already come with holes in them. They're
holes
beads.
that
They come on a
they are beads?
string.
I thought possibly that was the case, but wasn't sure. Now look at the range. Now this is the Mermaid Jewel Box / Greenwich Village wire and metal collection. A couple
Yeah.
of things happening at once. And you can see some of the sort of ocean mermaid type of pearl feel here a little bit differently than the previous uses of the pearl. And I love what's going on here. Are these
Yeah.
like loosely?
I wanted to explain about that. The wire that you see there is knitted. I knit a tube of wire. I start with just plain, very thin wire, and then
Wow.
I the pearls go inside the little tubes.
Wow. You kind of pinch in between in a way or something?
Yeah,
Like
they're
this, a
yeah,
tube of
because
woven
the
material. Oh.
sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. I was just expressing an understanding of it.
Well,
Yes, go ahead.
okay, so first of all, there's a hidden, very, very thin wire going through the pearls so that they don't
Ah,
squeeze out through the holes in the knitting. But
gotcha.
they are floating inside of the tube so that, yes, I squeeze the knit sections together between the pearls. But if you wanted to, you could move them up and down.
Wow. Wow, how fascinating. So it's these are really alive in some cases.
Yeah,
There's some variability with how it might feel day to day, and then you can kind of pinch it a little bit more to bring it back
yeah.
into place and all that.
One
I
of the
think
reasons
that's really
I love this technique is because you see it's called spool knit wire. It's something that I did as a child with my family. Um, one of our spare time activities, we would take a spool that had little spikes on it and you would knit a tube. You used to be with yarn. So I love adapting with wire techniques that are originally done with yarn or thread or cord.
absolutely your process of sort of connecting textiles / fiber processes with jewelry processes has been really lucrative for you, and you continue to try different things with it. Yeah, this tube idea is fantastic, very interesting, and I think this is one of the more, again, sculptural and dynamic sort of icons of in your works thus far. It's a really it's a runway show hit, that one.
Mm,
It feels like to, and
mm,
a risky, you really went for it there.
mhm.
I think that if the scale of the beads was, or the pearls was larger or smaller, we would have a different item. It's just really right where it's supposed to be. It's kind of a little chunky and really
Mhm.
cool. And let's wait on Janice, of course. Janice Nishida, our model. And here we are as a closer look at the necklace with the earrings as well, looking great together. Yeah, almost having like yeah, there's certainly like a that kind of mermaid quality to them, and then also
Mm.
maybe something almost like Romanesque or something. I'm not sure. It's there's some great stuff happening there though.
She does with that with her hair. She kind of looks like a mermaid in a way.
Totally. There's just great flow to that. And but you really create an elegant feel with the shaping that adds to that quite a bit.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love your handmade connectors, and this is really very beautiful. This choice here to leave a little bit of spacing on that, because you could have presumably pinched that even tighter. I think that's really nice
True.
how that hangs.
Mhm.
Great shots.
I love these photos. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, I just think it's so much fun, and thank you to the models for their excitement to do this, and some really beautiful photographs. It's true.
Mhm.
Point at
It
your
was
point your
such a
telephone.
wonderful idea. I was thrilled when you came up with it.
Well, you have such great shots already of the jewelry that we thought like, well, this would be a fun way to activate it, and I just think this is endlessly fun to look at the smiling faces of our models.
Mhm.
Here's the black on Josephine La Rosa here. Here's the black and white beaded one you referred to before.
Yeah, I have to add those to the website.
And this is actually a couple different collections here. We have the Mermaid's Jewel Box collection on the necklace. We have some of the beaded boho beads on the earrings and the bracelet. So you can see, obviously, there's room to combine things. Even with this bright red, sort of red outfit, you really smartly plan this with the black and white
Yeah,
really
that's
well here.
perfect for the red.
Yeah, it's amazing how perfect it went. And I mean, Josephine looks fantastic. The whole thing is exciting to me. Black and white also has this way of if it's not handled a certain way, can be really, really potent. But I think that since you again have this kind of handmade touch, that makes things not too cold in terms of the geometry, even though there is a lot of geometry. I
Interesting.
think that allows us to be so subtle still, in a certain way, even though it's relatively punchy black and white combination. It still has this quiet elegance to it in a certain way. Exciting. And going back through there one more time, let's just look at the necklace here in close up.
Yeah. This is a combination of metal beads and pearls.
The necklaces.
Yeah, some of the beads, it looks like they're all pearls, but some of them are metal. They're mixed
Wow, so
together.
that must be a subtle range in sheens that you achieve, and probably textures as well. I like the necklace length on this too. The really long draping thing is this of a length that one could conceivably double it and change it, or is it always designed to be of a?
I don't know. I mean, it's symmetrical, so if you doubled it, it probably wouldn't lie properly.
I'm looking at that now and understanding that. And there's also almost like a collection of
Yeah.
bead weight here that creates that long swooping
Yeah.
V.
That's
very
intentional.
beautiful.
Because if it was only one bead in the center, it would come to like a point and it wouldn't hang very
Yes.
well. But I always make sure to put like a little circle, like a half circle of beads on the bottom. That's perfect length for that shirt. It turned out really good.
It looks like you had planned all this for weeks as far as the styling of each.
I wish.
I'm amazed. Here we are with Nancy Friedman, and this is also mixed collections, including some hammered silver diamond hoop earrings. When you say diamond hoop, is that the shape, not the material, I think, right?
Yeah, right. It's not diamonds.
We know you don't work in that. And these are dynamite. I love the little like almost it looks like this is two separate pieces. Is that right?
Yes,
And they're
yes,
clasped
it
together.
is. It is. And these earrings come in two sizes. If you go a little lower, you'll see they're two different proportions.
Look at that.
Oh yeah, you can see the two different things.
Very effective bit of information visually you've given us here. And we can see that they also have a sometimes brass and sometimes silver quality as well, or am I just
no,
reading
they're
that?
actually silver. They just sometimes for some reason the photo makes it look goldish. But
Sure,
it is,
it takes on a reflection of the environment a little. Gotcha.
yeah.
Just clarifying that. And yeah, I mean, I think they style very well with, which it's surprisingly so, with a totally different object here.
Yeah.
The sort of geometry of these, kind of contemporary abstraction sort of things with the very sort of figurative beads below on that Nancy's wearing
They're
on the
animal
necklace.
shapes. They're
Here
animal
they
charms.
are. And these are presumably not, these are found charms out in the world. I
Yeah, I
assume
didn't
they're not
make them.
carved.
No, I didn't make
Right.
them. They're
But
pewter.
pewter, And so you've designed them to kind of be a big collection of beads, and they're really quite active as a collection here. And this is the only thing I've seen from you in that vein. Is that right? Like, I mean,
That's right.
it seems
Yeah.
like, but I get its relationship to your other beadwork completely. But it's the only time I've seen you use these sort of representational beads like this,
Yeah.
charms.
My daughter had a business selling charms, and she had
Oh,
like hundreds of them that she kept buying. And then she moved into a different type of business, so she gave me all her charms. And yeah, I haven't used them very much, but this is inspiring me to do more with them.
I think that's very exciting, this idea. Well, first of all, like, are you a person that I think it's really interesting that you keep bouncing off of
My daughter.
things you encounter in general. If it's your daughter, well, it's great, whatever's in your presence. But bouncing off of like, if you happen to have been given 1,000 nuts and bolts, you might have used that for inspiration. But in this particular case, this is what was in your vicinity, and it inspired you. I think that's interesting, and of course, it is obviously very related to what you do in terms of clustering, semi-rhythmic but handmade sort of looking things.
Hmm.
And of course, animals are in, I assume, are things that you would be interested in representing anyways, rather than it being, I don't know, something that doesn't feel like you. But this stuff of nature, why not? I think
That's true.
it's fun. And let's have a look at it on here a little bit more closely. We can see some of the animals here with better resolution.
Yeah, there's a really wide range of animals, of different animals.
And do charms come as like almost like mass manufactured things that are the same and ubiquitous everywhere, or is this a one designer's charms, or how does that work?
Oh, I think my daughter has probably a broader collection than most people, but these are commercially available.
Gotcha. And but are they probably designed by multiple different sources, and your daughter collects from different types
Yes,
of
yes, yes. Yeah, they come from a lot of different places. But she has a
well,
certain aesthetic that she stays in, certain size, certain three-dimensionality, certain color feeling. So it gives them a consistency.
Yes, exactly. It gives a rhythm of a certain type, which is great for what we're talking about with you. That there are these rhythms, but there's uniqueness to each individual component still. And here we are. And again, Darlene Gaston, who I swear again, I thought she must be a professional model. Like each shot is popular.
Yeah, she has
She,
such a perfect smile.
I mean, and she just like turned it on. Like I was like, wow.
The way she's looking
And
into the camera. Yeah, like, yeah, she looks great.
she owns her gaze into the eyes of the camera and not in the reverse. She's looking at us, right? I think it's fantastic, and I think that she also is just doing a great job of modeling the material here. The beauty of the shaping, and I really love this necklace in particular,
Oh,
and the
thanks.
line work that runs through the sort of elegant line work that runs through this body of material that you've befitted Darlene with. I think it has this great, yeah, sort of elegant line connectivity between different shapes here. Let's look at this one here closely.
I really loved
Okay.
working with wire and wire shapes. And I have a lot of different necklaces. They're not necessarily among the photos that we took, but on my website, I have a lot of other necklaces with different shapes of wire put together.
Well, those are amongst my favorite things that I've seen of yours are these dangling necklaces that have the chainmail one also that have this geometry, that have a rhythmic, structural, chunky, but also delicate quality at the same time. it's totally geometric, and
Yeah.
they also feel like regal in a certain way. And here's a different type of object, but yeah, the ranging of different materials. This one's cotton here, and I quite liked the way that you cut this
Mm.
on the top. And again, talking about the way things hang, we get this sort of geometry above and the roundness on the bottom. It's really pretty cool shaping effects out of this here.
I don't know if Arna is here, but shout out to her for giving me those copper discs. If you're here, thank you.
And you cut discs in half and shaped a little bit of curvature to them before, and of course, first you maybe pounded out a little bit of texture out of that.
Yeah, they were very
Um,
flat, simple discs, and I used them in different ways with different shapes, cutting them in different ways.
And I actually had the wrong information on here. I'll have to change this later. Forgive me. There's an error there, but uh, we'll get that up correctly. It's actually showing what's on the previous image, and
Right.
that my mistake. So I'll get that altered for us. But let's keep going here. Look at the shot. I mean, my goodness, it's just fabulous, just fabulous. And just though, even we can see a little bit of the necklace under here, but mostly it's showing off the bracelet, and the bracelet by itself, without really even seeing much of the rest of any other accessories, is just bringing the whole outfit alive. I think it sort of just it all of a sudden lights up the all types of other beautiful little moments in this composition, and just drives the whole thing so well. It's fantastic little object there.
Mhm. Mm. That's the
Uh,
bracelet I showed you before, but this is a brass one. The one I showed you was silver.
and they feel related, but they feel a little different. Like the silver one really feels granitey to me, and
Mhm.
these almost feel like they could be in other conversations with ancient artifacts or something. It's like there's
Yeah,
something that's even a different historical reference,
yeah,
but
like
it's
Etruscan or something.
it could be. It could be. And there's some interest in all of that, and they range. They can be worn and pushed in different directions.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, I
In
know. It's
fact,
interesting seeing this picture. I could picture somebody wearing these pieces going out to a fancy event, whereas before I thought of them as very down to earth and casual. They really are more versatile than I realized.
well, I think versatile is totally the perfect word, because you're right. They can be worn in a casual manner, but obviously we get our fantastic, graceful, sophisticated model in the room, and with the how you styled the combination of jewelries here. Absolutely, it feels like it's time to go out to Mr. Chow or wherever as a place to go to dinner. I think it's spectacular, but I think it's really cool to be able to do both. I think the versatility is really exciting.
Mhm. There's that smile again.
Telling you, she's good. She's good. Yeah. The way that she's showing off the ring here is spectacular too, but
Yeah.
there's a few things happening at once. We're seeing this bracelet, which I don't know that we have the information on here or not, but tell us this bracelet. I didn't get a whole lot of understanding of it in
Oh
the
yeah.
photos, fortunately,
Um,
but tell me a little more
that's a
about that
pretty
shape.
complicated bracelet. It it's made of like 5 different parts. In the center is a, a flat strip of metal that comes with a pattern texture on it, like a little shapes. I can't remember what shape that is, but then the black things on the side, those are 2 pieces of wire that I twisted together to make a
Oh,
twisted wire. You can't really see that they're twisted. And then on the outside is smooth wire. So it's like layered, with one,
Oh.
2, 3, 5 layers. And then it's held together by a separate gold wire that's wrapped around it, with an ending
Together.
with little spirals. And on you
Wow.
can't see the clasp, but it has like, a handmade hook clasp.
Yeah, I don't think I have any images of it. That was a failed photographer. Forgive
Mm.
me. But yes, and I don't think that we actually have the information on it
Can
yet
I
either.
give
But
you, yeah, I think, oh yeah, I don't have that on my
have the
website yet.
information, but not yes, it's not on the website yet. So that will be in addition that we'll make as soon as it's available to be made. And we'll get some more information on that because that's quite a sculptural achievement, it sounds
Mhm.
like.
Thanks.
And we'll just keep moving, of course, because we want to make sure we get through as much as we can tonight. But yeah, just getting to see the geometries and the line work as it falls through this jewelry is very
Great
exciting.
pose.
I agree. Here's Jude again. Of course, that was Darlene. This is Jude now. This is I'm really excited for you to see this necklace here, and we'll pull back here in a moment. But first, seeing also the bracelet and the connectivity between all the different pieces here,
And the
in a couple
earrings.
different great shot, and the earrings, absolutely. And now we'll see it as the necklace, and this is, I believe, this was one of the ones that the model Jude just decided
Yeah,
was not leaving her person, and
right.
I don't
He ended
blame her
up buying
because
it.
I think so. And I believe this was one of the ones that I originally, when I was asking you for
Mm.
images before we started, I saw this one and I thought like, wow, this is a knockout. It's a chandelier. It's a little bit of chainmail. It's a bunch of different things at once. Indian wedding collection also. So there's a cultural reference in there as well. Tell us about this piece. I feel like it's a showstopper. And obviously it's connected to some other iconography in the bracelet and earrings. How did you come to this one?
Well, actually, I think of this as my signature necklace. Um,
Uh-huh.
I love making the wire shapes and I love wrapping beads around them. And I don't know, one day it just came to me to put them together like this. On my website, I have a lot of versions of this with different beads wrapped around them and with different numbers of loops. I need to figure out a more artistic name for it, but you can see this one. I think this is the same technique but bigger. It has more loops. And then I have
Uh-huh.
some that have no beads on them. They're just plain. I don't know if we have that in the show, but
Oh, I don't know if it's on here. Oh, it's not. I don't see it here on the website. Let's see in the show what we got in. There might be one more. I think there is actually one that Nancy might be wearing in a moment that might be related. But right here, let's just start. And I'm noting what you're saying that like this is the same shape as we've seen in other earrings in
right.
with pearls, etc. Except for you have made it into this connected pattern. And
Yeah.
yeah, the way that you continue to play with the way you control the dangling, the geometry, the way the
Hmm.
pieces hold the chain
Yeah.
apart, all of that is really, really beautiful here. And I
Yeah. I
see
was
what you mean.
originally gonna call this the geometric collection,
Got
but
you.
then I didn't.
Well,
But
it's embedded
this
in.
the necklace
Yeah.
style came before the earrings. Um,
Uh-huh.
the After I made the necklaces, I realized that these would make great hoop earrings, and so I did.
Well, I'm excited to hear that you sort of describe this as your one of your signature pieces because I certainly feel like it is like I say a showstopper and really feels like you and
Thank
is
you.
consistent with several items you've made. And here we are back in the sort of some mermaids, some Greenwich, and sort of combined to do a couple different things with this fantastic beaded pin as well this time
Mm,
on our
yeah.
wall Barbara.
Most of these things are not on the website, but just the
The
earrings are.
right. So it's great that we have even some things on in our show that are not yet on the site. We can wait and see those when they arrive there, but we get to display them here, the only place they're available to be seen on our website. And I think it's cool that you decided to do the pin this time. Is the pin actually from one of these collections or an unrelated item?
Uh, I made it, but it's not in a collection at the moment. I
Oh,
could
I
add
know
it
you mean,
to a collection.
right. Gotcha. It right. And so what we're seeing right now then is essentially items from at least three different collections. The necklace and earrings maybe are related. I can't tell. But the pin and the neck and the bracelet, several different collections going on at once, correct?
Right. Yeah, the bracelets would be part of the Greenwich Village collection. The necklaces, because they have the white stone chips, are kind of like they're related to pearls. The
Uh-huh.
idea behind those is that I have multiple necklaces of different lengths, so they can be layered the way she's wearing it. And then, I don't know, we just threw in the pin. Maybe she saw the pin and said, I want to wear this. I can't remember exactly. But and then she's wearing a pair of hoop earrings from the hoop earring collection.
And I think, wise in this particular case to have limited the amount of texture effect that's happening in the earrings, since you have more going on down here, right? And that built a nice linear relationship to the bracelet as well. And then, so this is actually two necklaces and not a double looping like we talked
It's
about in the
actually
other
3 necklaces.
lengths.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Now I'm
And
to see. Oh, I see.
there are other lengths that fill in the gap that you're seeing. So, like
I
between
see. So
the
what
medium
could
one and the
have,
long one.
so you have 5 links or something on that
Yeah.
to create. If one
And the long
to,
one
but
could be doubled, like you asked, as you mentioned before.
it has that option. I see, because this one is more consistent all throughout. Isn't designed to have a certain hanging
Exactly.
engineering of that type. Gotcha. Just I think that these are elegant. It brought this whole thing to life, and still feels again playful. It could be worn during the day. It could be worn with a very fancy situation. I love the different lengths possibility on the necklace there. It's really beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
this is great geometry again, almost in this kind of Romanesque sort of thing. Really cool. This is the one I was talking about.
That's the one, yeah.
Yes, yes. And is this bracelet related then?
Yeah. I mean, it's not exactly part of the loop group, but it goes with it. It's similar technique using shaped wire.
And this great shot of Nancy here, and yeah, it just falls very beautifully, very elegantly. It's really a big piece, but it doesn't feel like a showy. I mean, it is a knockout, but it's not like an audacious thing. And
Right.
you could imagine that sometimes a big bib necklace would be audacious. It could be in the tiara wearing family
Yeah.
of jewelry.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Now it's just fallen. It's because it's delicate and it's relatively simple in its approach. And I think it looks really beautiful here.
It goes really well with that shirt.
It does. And again, like this could be worn casually. It could be worn with an expensive designer dress.
Yeah.
And then I love the playfulness of the star earring here with it, and that wire family of you just giving us a little bit of iconography with it, but still a light touch. Always a light touch for you. And we're just, wrapping up because we only have a little bit of time. And if there are some questions that people have, it would be great if you wanted to fire them at us pretty soon here. But we're going to keep going through. If you want to do so, you'll have to unmute yourself to ask a question. I won't be able to read from the chat right now. But we'll continue to go through here at the end, the remaining items. Fantastic modeling by Catherine Campbell again.
Mhm.
Just fantastic. And these are very different. Like this feels like the mermaid. This is again the Mermaid's Jewel Box collection, but there is a certain amount of soft quietness to this arrangement here. And here we are again back in this kind of like
That's
bronze
chainmail.
chain. And this is the chainmail work.
Yeah.
The Hanging Gardens of Babylon necklace and the Persian chainmail bracelet
Oh.
with hammered.
Coincidentally.
Oh, so the tube. How about that? Let's look back at that bracelet for again. This is a hammered bronze tube and the chainmail sort of patterning. So is this hand woven somehow?
Yes. So what you see there that looks like a chain is made of individual links that are put together one by one. So it's pretty, it takes a good amount of time to do that, but it has a beautiful appearance.
That's absolutely gorgeous. And it has, like the snake-like beauty to it. And then it also has this, you're doing so well with the combination of bronze and, excuse me, with copper and sort of brass or bronze-like.
It's gold plated. The rings are gold plated, and the tube is, I don't know, bronze or antique copper.
Gotcha. And the subtlety of this ring is very beautiful and popping at the last second with the hoop earrings. Let's go make sure we can see the Hanging Gardens of Babylon necklace. I love this photograph of Darlene as well. Just dynamite. Absolutely
Darlene, your
fantastic.
orthodontist should get a lot of praise. Your teeth are so beautifully straight.
I couldn't agree more. That smile is outstanding. And here we are again with the Hanging Guard, the Babylon. I mean,
I came up with that name last night. It just struck me that way.
Well, it does have that quality of a certain type of decadence, but you're a little bit playful about it here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does have that quality.
Would you mind clicking on that one? Because you can't really see what it looks like.
Absolutely.
It's actually uh-oh, what happened?
Ooh, I don't know. Let's see this one. We're going to try it again.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's my fault. Okay. I gave you a bad link. All right. Anyway, don't worry. It's not a big deal.
Start working, but that one needs to be addressed. It's unfortunate because yes, we have another shot of it, and we don't have a perfect shot of how it hangs. So that will be for the next time we check out the website. But yeah, we can imagine a little bit of some of that shaping, but I would love to see it from the front. Poor photographer failed to capture that. But yes, let's get it up on the website and we'll share it.
So you can still add things? You can still add
yes.
links? Oh, okay.
It's up forever. We will add anything you want to add. We'll add links to this whenever it's up on the website and ready. And here we are with Janice Nishida, and this is just, bringing us to the end of our day, but so we'll move a little bit more quickly, but here we are with the fantastic confetti beaded necklace. I mean, on Janice, she just looks like she's having fun in this jewelry to me.
Each of those little squares are hand sewn with a needle and thread. Each bead is sewn separately.
Spectacular. And you talked about how they have this sort of grid logic, but there is a relatively haphazard arrangement of the colors. So they're each one's unique. It's alive and fun as can be. And the elbows are like digital too in this sort of pixelation world
that's right.
Which is great in a certain way. Oh, I love this connection too. Is that like the
it's a button. Class? The bracelet has a loop. I mean a slit that the button goes into. It's woven with a slit.
I love that. That's a really cool design. It's not a traditional clasp. It's like a button, like one would wear with their pants or something, or a shirt. What a fantastic! continuing to move just a little quickly because we're running short of time here, but here we are with turquoise, and yes, you will play with the fine materials a little bit more, the use of the stone, the exquisite nature of some of the natural materials. You'll certainly let that pop when you want to, and it does just a perfect job against the palette of the outfit that Nancy's wearing and all of that, even getting some glimmer in her eyes to match the turquoise. Boy, models and jewelry really did a great job on this. Boy, it just pops beautiful. Just letting the material do its job, and having a light touch with your engineering. Nancy, excuse me, that was Nancy, and here we are with Barbara again. And I think the long dangling necklaces are also so elegant. One more time, let's just click one of these and remind ourselves that we are free to go on here and check this out at any time, and to look at the website to possibly, acquire these items if you're so inclined. I love this shot of Barbara, looking cool as ever. Barbara's super fashionable. All these people are super fashionable folks, and the jewelry is just as fashionable. And I think we're right here at the end pretty much. We have maybe one or two left, but this is, again, one of these moments where I think you called this beautiful green beads. So these are really beads that are doing a lot of work on their own to be elegant, but you've done such a fantastic job of, I suppose this is one of these moments where it's silk string or something.
Yes, exactly.
I love the spacing that you've created on this. That rhythm of where you're spacing the beads is really interesting. We've seen it a couple times from you where you've made symmetries in that and different rhythms. Makes for a fascinating bit of negative space and rhythm and length to things that wouldn't happen if they were just always clustered together completely. Although you do also do that, and you do it in a way that's sort of chunky sometimes like this. This is a pretty bold necklace in the same vein that we saw before, of that exciting sort of pearl embedded in the tube of woven metal mesh. It's fantastic stuff there. Graphic, punchy, but subtle still.
Jesse, could you blow that picture up with the netting and the beads inside the, yeah. Oh, that's good. Really good. Thank you. Beautiful.
Amazing, right? Totally amazing. Thank you for asking, Michelle. Yes, fantastic stuff. And yes, you are free at any time to look at this stuff as closely as you want on our website. Look at the fun that Jude's having modeling this. I couldn't help myself but show this candid shot of her having a great time. I love the bracelet in this one too. And again, popping against the black outfit so perfectly. Great shot of Jude there. We're rushing a little bit through these last ones, but here's the bib necklace with garnets. This is, again, using a little bit of the stones with a little bit more, of the higher end material punch here and there. And like you said, just sometimes a small amount of that will really elevate something here and there. And this is one of those opportunities where these garnets really just punch this incredibly gorgeous bib necklace here. And I think
That's also chainmail, by the way.
This is also the chainmail design.
Yeah, so yeah.
Oh no, we're not quite at the end, because this is the one where I really failed as a photographer to note that the triangle should have been visible. Forgive me, but we do have the opportunity to see it online here. It is a fantastic shape, and we saw that with it being held in person before. And I just think it's amazing how you, in this particular case, the connective wire structure is made out of the same thing that the components are made out of. It's just all the same thing. It's just differently.
Yeah, those are all individual rings put together one by one.
I think this is another showstopper. One of the incredible elements of the show, of your whole collections. Outstanding stuff. And look how it follows across again, like this snake-like sort of rhythm.
Very
It's so
drapey.
beautiful. very drapey, and again, like it's chainmail, like you can feel the weight of it, but it has this kind of elegance as it falls as well. Forgive me, I thought we were towards the end, and we are, but there was just a few more. But they're just too good not to look at, so we'll go through quickly here, folks. Thanks for bearing with us a couple minutes past. Yeah, these turquoise punches at the aquamarine actually this time, in these stones in the earrings. And then the dangling earrings actually have citrine in them as well here. And that's going to be aquamarine necklace with teardrops. That will do it. That's our last image. And, you know, I want to just, first of all, I just want to say what an achievement of execution, of design, of craft, of inspiration from different sources, but still feeling like you across different bodies of work. And obviously you're a beloved instructor. People seem to be really excited about this. I know there's just chats, comments left and right here. Any comments from people before we get out of the room here? You're welcome to do so. But we'll
it's
move on.
fabulous. Just fabulous.
Jesse, it's you not only introduce the observers to Susan's work, to the artist's work, but I think you reintroduce the artist as well by your eloquent observations and statements.
Mhm.
And it's
That's
so
right.
appreciated. Yeah. And that's part of what makes you a terrific instructor. You just have such a broad sense of artistry. And Susan, such stunning work. This is Shelley. Howdy.
I know. Hi.
You know the voice.
But you're absolutely right.
So,
Hearing the way
yeah.
Jesse described my work gave me a whole new view of what I do. Thank you,
Oh,
Jesse.
That's so exciting.
Really great and helpful.
Agreed.
That's just inspirational stuff to look at, and all attention should be on Susan, of course, and the models who made this just an incredible event with so much fun. I mean, I think that, you know, really seeing it on people is what jewelry's for, you know, ultimately.
Mm.
And it's exciting to see the light come in people's eyes on the models when they put it on. It just made the whole thing much more but it was because the jewelry was that beautiful and exciting. So Susan, thank you. And thank you all for being here. I had a fantastic time looking at this. I hope you enjoyed yourselves too.
Mm-hmm.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Thank you,
Jesse.
Susan. That was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much to
Put on the
models who
web-
are so amazing, and to
Oh,
all
yeah.
students and friends who are here. I really appreciate you coming. So thank you so much, Jesse.
Congratulations, Susan. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Silverman, and everyone for hosting, and all you wonderful friends for being here. We will see you next time. Thank you so
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Drink it in, Susan.
We
Yeah.
love you, Susan.
Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciations go. I think it's great, Susan. You were fantastic.
Jesse, you are an
Happy birthday for
amazing-
tomorrow, Susan.
Oh, thank
Oh,
you.
Ah, birthday.
Yeah.
Now it's celebrations
my
time.
birthday.
All right. Fantastic. You
This is a
earned it.
great birthday present. Wow, what could be better?
Really?
Yeah, it was great.
All right,
Aw.
everybody.
Jesse, you are an amazing orator, amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to like
really
have
was.
you come and market my jewelry to the world, but I'm sure you have your own stuff that you need to market.
Is there a recording for this? So if Susan wants to hear some of the verbiage that, you know,
You better believe it.
for ideas.
Our website, and I'll
Thanks,
send it
Shelley.
Mhm.
in a couple,
Yeah.
maybe a week or so. I usually get it, and then we'll get it to you then.
When I'm
Awesome.
lying in bed, feeling
Thank you.
unappreciated at
Yeah.
night, I'll just turn on the recording. I'm like, bask in all the praise.
You
Don't forget
deserve it.
how far you are, of course.
It
Thank
was a great
you.
show.
You too.
So humble.